Alright lads and lasses, welcome along, another Tuppence Tuesday. This is awesome. Tell you what, like, calculation groups, massive topic at the moment in Power BI. What's a calculation group? What's it all about? I thought, I'm going to have a video with you, take you through it, let's do some things with it, and let's go beyond all I'm really seeing talked about with calculation groups, which is like time intelligence, right? Because there's a lot more to it than just that. So let us crack on. Yeah, let's talk about these. So how does a calculation group work? Yeah, what is it? Right? At the core of it, a calculation group will take a base measure, one base measure at a time, one base measure, so a single value. So it's going to be something that's going to come back with a single value. So like sum of a column, average of a column, min of a column, max of a column. Right? We've got a single value. That's the important thing. What it's then going to do is apply a defined set of alterations to that base. Okay? What do you mean, man? Right? So time intelligence, which is what everyone's showing you the demos of. Frequently used ones. So things like your month to date, your year over year, percentage change, all that stuff. Calculation groups deal with that and they bother, right? What you can also use it for is location, right? What? Now, how many times do you do like reporting where you, oh, well, what's happening in that part of the business or that part of the business or over there or up there, down there, right? Being able to use a calculation group to do that, it's really quick and easy to just go swap these things around, right? There's also some nice things you can do for it. We'll get to that in the demo, right? And lastly, you can also use it to format currency strings correctly. I'm still looking into that, so I'm not really going to cover that in the video. But the location piece is huge. And I think that's what really shows there's a lot more to this than just what I was kind of getting my head confused about, yeah? So let's crack on our way, yeah? And let's have a look. Let's do a demo, yeah? Right. So here we are, dataset 4, yeah? This one was written without writing any calculations deliberately. What I've done for the sake of this, to make it work for the video, for the demo here, is I've written two measures, right? I've written inspections, which is a simple count rows, right? Count rows is a brilliant formula to learn in Power BI, right? Just go and tell me how many rows are on the table. Not interested in anything else, just how many rows. Yeah, a lot of people try and like count columns, stuff like that. Count rows, honestly, much easier. So, count rows. Next thing I've got is I've written test. Right, now test is going to just go away, calculate inspections where the borough's Manhattan. Yeah, that works. We can get behind that. We understand that one, didn't we, right? So I've got this here filtered showing us just Queens. So let's bring in test. Hang on, what? That's got values in it. That's got a number. That should be blank because we've got a filter here, haven't we, applied to all pages of Queens? Well, we haven't got a filter. That's the thing. This is a calculation group. So what I've done is I've written a calculation group for location. Now, in practical terms, this would only work if you had a small number of locations or a small number of things. So, you know, if you're Walmart, unless you've got someone who's got lots of time on their hands, it's probably not the nicest of things to do. I'm sure there's a way to programmatically do it. In fact, dollars to donuts, I bet you could probably hack your PBIX files if you really wanted to do that. I'm not going to say I'd recommend doing it. But what this would allow you to do is you could actually build a report page, have a slicer on the page rather than like here, and actually then have that slicer linked to a number of other to a number of visuals on the page, and yet still have your core big number. So group wise, we've done blah blah blah, and then you could actually explore on the page. So you might have like a left and right hand side of your page, like all and selected areas. Yeah, so there's some nice things you could do with this calculation group the way it is. And because it's all using the same measure structure. It's really easy. Now, what do you mean measure structure? What's he talking about, measure structure? How do I know what these kind of... How do I write that? Why have you got that as appearance of a table? Is it a table? Can we go and click on tables and see? A table. Oh, I can. So it's a table. Wow, it's amazing. It's a table. So you can clearly see there is something here that's coming through. Yeah, but what is it? Because it's just showing as a table. It's not showing with a different icon like a calculated table or anything like that. How do we figure out what these are? Go into the Tabular editor, and I'll put a link in the description down below to download the Tabular editor. Right, you need to have the latest version of Power BI Desktop as well. So the August edition, I think July, is it July? July, aye. August is now out, I think. Yeah, should now be out. And where you can see it is, just as it was in the PBIX file, it's in the report location, is in the tables list. And all I've done is I've gone through here, created a new calculation group, and I'll just call this one demo, just so you can see what a calculation group looks like when you start with it. Yeah, so all you've got is a name column, which if we're going back to a PBIX file, this is one name column. Okay, and that's all you need to worry about, the name column. So we'd call this whatever we wanted to call it, right? Then you have these calculation items. Now the calculation items are actually what you're planning to do within this calculation group. So in this case, we've got filters for it. So we've got all, because we want all of the places that we've got data for. Got Manhattan, Brooklyn, Bronx and Queens, yeah? Nothing too dodgy there. It's all fairly straightforward, isn't it? So each of these you have to define. So you do that, right click on it, new calculation item. Okay, and pick all, right? I would recommend you start with all, just because you're going to need an all. And in practical terms, whenever you do calculation groups, get used to using all. Okay, and what does all need to be? It's not difficult. It's a selected measure, right? So there's a new function that comes with these, selected measure, right? Selected measure is just what's the scalar value you want me to use, yeah? What's that sum of the column or the min? Is it a max? Is it whatever it is? Just give me the measure name, right? You never put it in here. Use selected measure. If you're going to repeat it and do it many times, there's other things you need to do, and we can go over that. Might do another video about these when we put when we put calculation items into one of the data set videos. But for now, just leave it at that. Yeah, select and measure. That's me all, just selected measure. Okay. Create a new calculation group. Manhattan, for example, yeah. For this, we're going to need to do some kind of a filter, aren't we? Or do some kind of an alteration to my base measure. Yeah. So for a time intelligence, for anything really, the format is going to be very similar. So it's going to be calculate, selected measure. Yeah, when I can type, selected measure, comma, right? And then what's your expression? What's your limiter going to be? What's your alterator? Your change thing? What? Yeah, you know what I mean. How are you going to change it? So in this case, the way we're doing it, and this is a nice thing, you can do drag and drops in this. So we can go borough location equals, it's in capitals, isn't it? Manhattan. Okay. And it's nice, I've got DAX formatter in there, so I can click format the DAX, and okay, it's just going to put all in one line. That's fine, right? That's all I need to do. Okay, and that's then going to put that in, make that available. When you've done them all the ones you want in that calculation group, save the changes to your selected database. Yeah, I'm just going to delete this because I don't want to break that file, because we still haven't showed you it all. But that's basically how we've gone through and done it. And we can click on them all, we can see. So we've got the all, got the Manhattan, got Brooklyn. You can see I went through and formatted the Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, right? And location. The last thing I've done, and if you remember going back into the Power BI, there's an ordinal value here. Yeah, so the value that they're going to appear in, because this is just alphabetical by that. And if we click on here, see it's sorting it by ordinal. Yeah, so that's a really useful thing that it does for you. And what you can see is we've got ordinal in here in the descriptions. We've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, dead easy, dead simple, right? It's not too hard to do this. The magic, as it were, happens when you come back out. And we go in here, and all I've done is I've put this location into the filter on all pages, because I think you could just imagine, you know, I'm in New York. See, I'm not even going to try and do a New York accent, I tell you. I worked with some guy, try to teach us it. I'm no New Yorker, I can say that. But you can imagine, we're talking about Manhattan. What's going on in Manhattan? How are the water inspections doing in Manhattan? The next day, we need to do Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens. Yeah, having this makes it really easy to deal with. And all I've needed to do is have a single measure, and all the rest is taken care of by the calculation group. So if we were to write time intelligence versions of it, which would be quite easy to do, that would then use these, or the other thing which you can do as well, of course, is you can actually use one of the other bits from the results of here. So depending on how you build it, and this is where it got a bit tricky with these, as you're building this data set up with the results and getting it all to go right and wrong. See, we've got things like E. coli testing. We've got to, do things meet standards, things like that. So we can actually go and check in terms of results and see where the failures are, and then look at failure rates. And because that's going to return a single value, like a percentage E. coli or a percentage of anything you wanted, you could still apply your calculation group to it. And that's the bit that you need to understand about the way the calculation group works, is it's not tied to the start measure that you use. It just is telling you, just give us a whole number, well, not whole number, just give us a single number, yeah, scalar value, that I can then apply this list of things to that you've given us. And that's all it needs. So I've gone on a bit longer than I wanted to do, but I think it's really important that you spend some time and have a look at these calculation groups, because if you can get your head around it, you can go from having 200 to 300 measures in your large data sets down to probably having 50, if not less, because all your variables or variations of it disappear into calculation groups. So I'm going to keep looking at these because I want to do these format strings. I want to understand that. The other thing I want to know is how easy it is to start trying to think about nesting them together. Can we actually have them interplaying together, like time intelligence with this location thing? So I'm going to keep playing with them, but what I'm seeing is something that is really powerful. So have a great week, and we'll catch us all on Friday, yeah? Cheers.